According to General Hospital spoilers, Jason Morgan may finally find a lasting romance when he spots former Flame Dr. Britt Westbourne at an airport between July 14th and July 18th. Despite being the most eligible bachelor in Port Charles, Jason has stayed single for more than a year since his homecoming. Sure, he doesn't have the best career, but women want an attractive, naughty boy with a moral compass, so Jason is the complete package. Unfortunately, when Jason returned, things didn't work out with Sam McCall, who was hopelessly in love with Dante Falconeri. Sam was a legendary super pair, and while some admirers hoped for a reunion, Sam's death in late October 2024 put an end to that possibility. The production tried a love story between Jason and Anna Devane, but too many GH viewers reacted negatively after they kissed. After all, his history with Anna's daughter, Robin Scorpio Drake, was too intense to ignore, or to enable her mother to step in and take her ex. There were rumors that Sasha Corbin might have a thing for Jason, but that was also ruled out. Jason had something genuinely special with Sam, but he also had a great rapport with Britt. Many would say that Britt and Jason's sparks were as powerful as those he enjoyed with Sam. In fact, with Jason's return, many GH viewers wished Britt was still in Port Charles, but she met her fate in early 2023 thanks to the Hook, aka Heather Weber, who attacked the excellent doctor. Britt and Jason had so much more to tell, and it's a shame they didn't get to explore it. Still, what GH fans want, GH fans get. And if the soap could devise a clever means to bring back Jake Weber when he met his fate as a child, and gave a kidney to Jocelyn Jacks, then bringing back Britt would be a piece of cake, right? Kelly Thibault will officially start painting sometime during the week of July 14th. The ABC soap's promo depicts Jason in an airport, waiting for his journey, when he notices someone familiar. Jason's expression says it all. He is both perplexed and emotional when he watches Britt, or someone who resembles Britt, stroll past. Fans of General Hospital can't help but wonder if Britt is back, whether she has amnesia or has purposefully avoided PC for some reason. With Brooke Lynn Quartermaine Chase replaying Britt's part in Rocco Falconeri's birth, as well as the news that Dr. Liesl Obrecht will return to the show, all signs point to Thibault revisiting her Britt Westbourne role. Having said that, GH has yet to reveal what part the actress would play. Fans will need to tune in this week to watch how Thibault's plot unfolds. General Hospital spoilers remind fans that Jason requires a strong romantic storyline, and a reunion with Britt may be precisely what the doctor ordered. It would be intriguing to see these old lovebirds reconcile as viewers learn what Britt has been up to since she left the small community. According to General Hospital Weekly Preview video spoilers, the drama in Port Charles will reach a climax during the week of July 14th to 18th when Kelly Thibault returns. Sonny Corinthos seems to kidnap Marco Rios, and Michael Corinthos goes to great efforts to prevent Willow Tate from seeing her children. The ABC drama has released its weekly preview, and it appears that the next 5 days will be hotter than hot in the little town. So it's time to dive into all of the insanity that is set to occur. The General Hospital ad for the week of July 14th to 18th begins with a shot of Sonny entering the church, where he will confront Jen Sidwell. It appears like the two men will face off before, during, or after Natalia Ramirez's memorial, so GH watchers should expect things to become heated between these two guys. During the preview, Sonny informs Sidwell that his son is fair game. As the camera pans to a concerned-looking Sidwell, the scene shifts to a footage showing Marco gagged, his hands bound behind his back on a chair, desperately attempting to escape his situation. The lawyer is hiding in a dusty old room with ancient TVs, probably in a warehouse someplace in town, appearing battered and wounded with a voice shouting, "You don't want to do this." As the preview progresses, Michael is shown next telling someone unknown that he can't let them obtain custody, while a video of Willow and Drew Kane embracing is shown. The scene suddenly shifts to Willow asking Michael at the hospital, "What have you done?" Willow appears to be about to suffer a breakdown, as Michael watches with a harsh expression on his face. The next scene shows Portia Robinson having a violent tantrum, knocking a clipboard over her desk and shouting at the top of her lungs. This reaction seemed to have Drew's pranks written all over it, so what type of maneuver will the congressman do to have Portia reeling in this way? Finally, as the GH teaser concludes, Jason Morgan is seated in an airport, awaiting a trip. He stands up in alarm when he sees someone he remembers. As he stands up to get a better look, Dr. Britt Westbourne, or someone who like Dr. Britt Westbourne passes by, much to Jason's amazement. According to General Hospital teasers, Kelly Thibault has returned to the canvas, but it is unclear whether the Brit has also returned, or if another storyline would revolve on a Brit lookalike or even an evil twin angle. General Hospital spoilers are available for the week of July 14, 2025. Fans might expect Carly Spencer to be heartbroken. Nina Reeves is forced to deal with the consequences of her conduct. Meanwhile, Emma Scorpio Drake has a confession to make. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap show. Let us start with Natalia Ramirez's memorial service. Marco Rios will undoubtedly be there. It is expected that Jen Sidwell will also attend. Natalia and Sidwell despised each other, but the villain must keep up appearances while setting up Sonny Corinthos. Curtis Ashford was obliged to publish a controversial headline wondering whether Sonny murdered Natalia. As a result, Sonny will most likely want to say his final goodbye at the memorial service, which might make things even more chaotic. Michael Corinthos will update Sonny and Carly on Daisy Gilmore Corinthos. While Michael describes what is going on with Sasha Gilmore Corbin, Carly confronts her ex-husband. Carly will inquire whether Daisy is in risk because of him. Later, Carly becomes distraught, and Sonny is required to make a sacrifice. Back to Sasha, she intends to say farewell to Nina before leaving town. However, before the end of the week, Nina must confront the repercussions of her scheme. According to General Hospital spoilers for next week, Willow Tate reconnects with Isaiah Gannon. Fans will recall that Isaiah attempted to impart wisdom to Willow some time ago, so they'll chat about her difficulties again. Willow informs the doctor that Michael drove her to everything. During the week of July 14, 2025, fans will also watch Marco rage about Sonny to Alexis Davis. However, Alexis will hurry to defend the mob lord. Anna Devane discusses her feelings with Felicia Scorpio. Later, Anna has important questions for Carly to answer. Emma makes some sort of admission. Lucas Jones completely freaks out. Trina Robinson confides in Jocelyn Jacks. Will Jocelyn agree with Trina or convince her BFF to give Kai Taylor another chance? Curtis ignores Stella Henry's concerns about Portia Robinson. Jason Morgan never expected to see her again, especially in a busy airport, halfway between Port Charles and an uncertain future. The scene was peaceful and almost cinematic. He was strolling toward Gate 23, not thinking about anything in particular, just going through the motions as he always did when he didn't want to feel. But then he noticed the hair. The recognizable, unkempt, honey brown hair and keen profile that lingered in his mind. Could not be. Should not be. But it was. Britt Westbourne stood beside a vending machine, her suitcase at her feet, her gaze fixed on her phone. She had not seen him yet. She appeared robust, confident, and strangely calm, as if she had survived a battle. And Jason froze. He was unable to move for an extended period of time. The airport noise receded into the background. Everything came down to the realization that Britt was alive. He approached slowly and cautiously toward her, as if approaching a dream from which he was not yet ready to wake. She looked up when she felt the presence, her eyes narrowing, surprise washing over her face, followed by 1,000 questions she wasn't sure she wanted to ask. Jason. She spoke it like a plea and a challenge all at once. Neither of them moved for a moment. Then he nodded just once, breaking the quiet between them. Britt laughed, brief and astonished, then glanced away, as if she didn't know how to respond. Jason scrutinized her, observing everything. She had changed, less guarded, softer, but she remained Britt, the woman who once knew him better than he wanted her to. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice tighter than she intended. "I could ask you the same," he said. She rolled her eyes. Figures. They sat in a quiet area of the terminal, talking tentatively at first. Britt stated that she had not actually died. She had gone off-grid for her own safety after an underground medical contact informed her that someone had ordered a hit on her, after she worked in a cartel-linked clinic. Her ALS diagnosis was accurate, but experimental treatment abroad had delayed its progression. It was not a cure, but it did buy her time. She was unsure what to do with her time. So she traveled, changed her name and recreated her life, and has never looked back. Until now. "I don't know what made me come back," she said quietly. "I believe I simply wanted to know if the world remembered me." If you remember me. Jason looked at her intently. I never stopped. That admission sat in the air thick and electrifying. Britt did not respond right away. Her fingers tightened around the zipper in her carry-on bag. Jason realized he'd crossed the line by confessing it, but he also knew he couldn't lie, not to her. They discussed everything and nothing. About the folks they had lost. Things they regretted. Jason told her about the chaos that had occurred in Port Charles. Carly's troubles, Sonny's deteriorating mental state, Michael's custody battle, and the strange tangle of loyalties that arose with Jason's resurrection from the dead. Britt listened, her expression enigmatic, but her eyes revealed something soft. There is a wound. You still think you're the fixer, she observed, rather than accusing. He did not argue. She was not mistaken. Jason had returned to Port Charles months before, under difficult circumstances. His arrival had upended relationships, caused shockwaves across the Corinthos family, and left him feeling more lost than ever. The city had altered. People had changed. Maybe he did too. He wasn't sure what he was doing at the airport that day. Perhaps he was preparing to leave again, disappear before things got worse. But Britt altered that. As they sat, passengers came and went. Announcements reverberated overhead. But Jason was not listening. He was watching Britt. She still had the spark. That combination of skepticism and affection used to drive him mad. She challenged him. She never allowed him to languish in silence or pretend he didn't care. She saw him in a way that few others ever have. Are you returning to Port Charles? He finally asked her. I don't know, she said. There is nothing for me. There are no hospital jobs. No friends. No assurances. You've got me, she said firmly, as if she were testing his sincerity. Do I? Jason did not respond right away. If you want. Their flight had been delayed. Hours passed, and neither of them appeared to care. They went through the airport, grabbing coffee and sitting near a window to watch jets land and take off. Felt strangely normal. Peaceful. It was as if the cosmos had provided them with a rare opportunity to pause the noise. Jason felt something he hadn't in a long time: possibility. By the time the sky became amber with the setting sun, Jason realized he wasn't going to fly. Neither was Britt. She hesitated when he offered to call a car. Where will we go? Anywhere, he replied. Everywhere. Back in Port Charles, Jason's closest friends had no idea he'd stumbled into a ghost from his past, and potentially his future. Carly was still trying to work through her poor relationship with Drew. Sam had become closer to Dante. Sonny was in a downward spiral. But none of this mattered in the moment. Not compared to the woman who used to make Jason feel alive even in the midst of chaos. The car trip from the airport was calm but not uncomfortable. They did not need to speak. Simply being in the same location was sufficient. They booked into a quiet hotel on the outskirts of town, neutral ground with no expectations. Later that night, sitting across from each other with takeout containers and a single flickering lamp between them, Jason asked her the question that had been on his mind for hours. What do you want, Britt? She stared at him for a long time. I want to stop running. I want to matter again. I want to be seen, Jason said, nodding. You are. She grinned hesitantly. But it was real. The next morning, Britt stood on the hotel balcony, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise. Jason joined her and wrapped his arm around her waist. They did not speak. They did not need to. It was one of those moments that conveyed more than words could. That what they had didn't end. They returned to Port Charles together, but without a big announcement or grand entrance. Jason helped Britt return to town secretly. She remained under the radar, avoiding the hospital and keeping her distance from her mother, Liesel, until she was ready. Word spread swiftly, however. Carly was stunned. Sam was unsure how to respond. Sonny didn't say anything, but his raised eyebrow spoke volumes. Michael, ever the strategist, inquired of Jason whether Britt's return would result in additional complications. Jason just stated, "It means hope." Things didn't go smoothly. Nothing ever exists in Port Charles. There were doubts about how Britt survived. Some thought she staged her death. Others speculated on a witness protection contract. Spinelli searched for information, but even he was unable to piece together the entire story. Britt had obviously gone to great pains to disappear, and now she was risking everything by returning. But slowly and painstakingly she began to rebuild. Initially, she volunteered at a free clinic under a different name. She took long walks along the pier. She began to restore her connection with Liesel, albeit the strain remained. Her presence evoked recollections for many people, both positive and negative. But most importantly, it transformed Jason. He started smiling more, to talk a little longer. He spent fewer evenings alone in his apartment and more mornings going by the water, holding Britt's hand. Everyone noticed. Even Danny and Scout inquired about that lady who makes Dad happy. There were moments of relapse and mistrust. Britt's condition remained questionable. The ALS had not gone away, and there were days when she was exhausted, wobbly, and even terrified. Jason never flinched. He researched everything he could about the sickness, assisted her with appointments, and supported her through the difficult times. Britt, in turn, granted him something he didn't realize he needed: permission to dream. For a life that transcends loyalty, beyond family conflicts and organized crime. A life in which he could breathe. It wasn't a fairy tale. There were disputes. She despised the fact that he would occasionally shut off. He despised how she taunted him to hide her own anxieties. But they got through it. Day after day. Step by step. For Jason, the woman he saw at the airport that day represented more than a lost love. She represented a new beginning for him. Jason was not supposed to be there. He had no intention of returning to that wing of General Hospital, but something drew him back, perhaps instinct or fate. He came to a halt when he rounded the bend. Britt stood in front of the nurse's station, flipping over a patient chart. For a brief moment, the tumult of Port Charles subsided, and Jason was struck by a rush of remembrance, remorse, and something dangerously near to hope. She hadn't spotted him yet, and he considered going away to avoid the history they'd never resolved. But Britt looked up, feeling his presence in the way that only someone who has loved and been hurt could. Their eyes met, and the weight of everything unspoken hovered between them. Jason and she took a step forward as if they couldn't help it. There was silence before either of them spoke, and when they did, their voices were scarcely audible. Britt's defenses were immediately raised. He could sense it in her posture. Jason did not blame her. He departed. No notice, no warning. Just vanished into the night. Another victim of his gang life and mistaken loyalty. But something in her face cracked when he asked whether she was all right. She was not. Not really. He wasn't either. They had one of those chats that meant everything and nothing at once. Polite, distant, and filled of pain. Britt tried to finish it quickly, dismissing Jason's anxiety, but he couldn't leave again. He informed her he had returned seeking answers. Not just her but also himself. About what type of life he might possibly have outside of the gunmetal gray shadows he lived in. Meanwhile, across town, events unfolded in unexpected ways. Marco had gone missing. Aiden began gently. A text here and a call there. Gio noticed first that his friend wasn't reacting, which was unusual for him. Marco was streetwise and wary, particularly after his brief encounter with Cyrus Renault's remains. However, caution had not saved him. Marco had been gone for hours before anyone knew he was in serious difficulty. Brooklyn was frantic, piecing together Marco's last known whereabouts and dragging Chase into it, despite the fact that the PCPD was already overburdened with a series of minor emergencies that appeared to be coordinated distractions. Someone had purposely taken Marco, and they had done it cleanly. The news circulated quickly, primarily in whispers, but the panic intensified. Gio was furious, barely holding himself together as he paced through the Quartermain den. He blamed himself and the life they were all striving to live, half legitimate, half criminal inheritance. Tracy attempted to keep everyone grounded, but she couldn't deny the signs. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a message. Jason returned to the hospital and received a call. Gio did not even say hello. "They have Marco," he explained, his voice shaking. Jason did not hesitate. Whatever emotions Britt evoked, whatever broken pieces of his heart she possessed, would have to wait. He promised her he'd find her again, this time for real, and then went. While everyone was scrambling to find Marco, another implosion occurred silently and devastatingly in the house of Michael Corinthos and Willow Tate. Michael had reached the breaking point. Perhaps it was the strain from Ned threatening ELQ again, the never-ending custody battle over Wiley, or the ghosts of every lie and betrayal they tried to hide. But something inside him had changed. He was not the same person Willow had fell in love with. And when he discovered the sealed envelope Willow had placed in her dresser, one holding a letter she'd written to another man, full of words Michael hadn't heard from her in months, his reserve was broken. Willow was surprised when Michael confronted her. She tried to explain and clarify, but he didn't listen. He had already made up his mind. What ensued was more than simply a fight. It was an emotional demolition. Michael hurled words he'd never take back. Accusations that Willow was emotionally absent, that she never truly let go of Chase, and that she merely chose Michael for safety and convenience. Willow, for her part, refused to back down. She informed Michael that he had become cold, calculated, and preoccupied with control, in business, with the kids, and with her. He told her to go. Not in a fit of rage, but with an unsettling calm. Willow was most chilled by the weird calm that followed, rather than the shouting or sobbing. She gathered what she could, left the house with a numb expression, and drove aimlessly, not knowing where she was heading but knowing she couldn't turn back. Nonetheless, Michael was not done. A part of him still felt compelled to win, even if it meant destroying the person he had referred to as the love of his life. He contacted Diane and began filing paperwork that would not only revoke Willow's access to their shared assets, but also challenge her parenting rights. He told the story of her mental instability, the secrets she held, and relied on the approach that had made him a boardroom killer, cold, efficient, and brutal. Jason arrived at Sunny's former penthouse that night. Gio waited there, quivering with wrath and terror. The evidence pointed to something planned by someone versed with Sunny's methods, someone who knew how to make individuals vanish without a trace. Jason told Gio he would find Marco, even if it meant returning to areas of Port Charles he had previously sworn off. Gio posed the question Jason had feared. "Do you think Sunny had anything to do with it?" Jason paused. No, Sunny wasn't that man anymore. But Sunny had made enemies, and those enemies were resurfacing, like weeds growing through cracked concrete. As darkness fell, Britt stared at her phone. She had not intended to care again. However, Jason's arrival reopened every wound she believed had been healed. She wasn't sure whether to sprint toward him or never see him again. But deep down she knew. If Jason was being drawn back into that world, the society that had already taken so much from them, he would want someone who was not scared to stand with him. Marco, someplace unseen, fought against his chains. The chamber he was in smelled like dampness and metal. He was not alone. Someone had been watching him and only feeding him enough to keep him alive. Even though they hadn't spoken, Marco sensed a purpose in their quiet. This was not a ransom. It was a warning. The individual behind this did not desire money. They sought leverage. And Michael, sitting alone in the dark, glanced at the divorce papers he never imagined he'd write. Somewhere beneath the wrath and betrayal was a boy who had once desired a peaceful home, a calm life, and unconditional love. That dream was gone. And in its stead stood a man who had burned everything down just to feel in control again. By daybreak, the threads had frayed faster than anyone could repair them. Brooklyn and Chase discovered a shaky security video still from a neighboring warehouse district. Someone dragging a body that matched Marco's dimensions. Britt decided to phone Jason despite everything and tell him she was in. She'd help him with anything he needed. Willow checked into a motel under a false name, too embarrassed to call for help and too distraught to sleep. She opened her phone and smiled as she looked at an old photograph of Michael and Wiley on the beach. She did not cry. She didn't have enough energy. Port Charles was spinning. Marco was missing. Jason was preparing for war. Michael was tearing his world apart from within. Nobody saw the following move coming. Because the person who kidnapped Marco had a much larger plan. And they weren't finished yet. According to General Hospital teasers, viewers want to know if Michael Corinthos belongs with Sasha Gilmore Corbin or Willow Tate. What happens after Willow's inevitable Drew Kane split? When her eyes fully open, Willow threw up her entire life due of her affections for Drew. And now she's paying the consequences. Willow has been devastated by the loss of custody, and she is determined to reunite with her children. Willow will eventually realize it was a mistake to place so much faith in Drew. Willow absolutely trusts Drew and believes he is an amazing person. But everything will shatter once his deception is revealed. Willow will grow to regret destroying her marriage and the happy family she had with Michael. Willow is likely to try to repair the damage, thus she may fight to reunite with Michael in the future. Rory Gibson deserves a lot of credit for reinventing Michael and revitalizing the role in a variety of ways. Gibson is a chemistry magnet, therefore Michael is currently on screen with both Sasha and Willow. Even though we sense Michael's pain and wrath as he speaks with Willow, there is an intriguing energy between them. We might see Willow and Michael eventually reuniting. In fact, some GH fans on social media are cheering for Michael and Willow to reunite once her break from Drew is resolved. This could be an opportunity to reboot Willow and offer her a new beginning with Michael. Of course, other viewers are hopeful that the show continues Michael and Sasha's connection, particularly around baby Daisy Gilmore. Sasha and Michael have the capacity to reconcile, thus their reunion is also worth rooting for. It's simply a matter of who you believe Michael works best with and what kind of tale you want to see from here. Are you hoping for Michael and Sasha to rekindle their romance? Do you believe GH will bring good news for Michael and Willow's future instead? According to General Hospital spoilers, Michael will continue to be in the orbit of both ladies, so keep tuned for updates on whether he will eventually have a new beginning with Sasha or Willow. According to General Hospital teasers, fans are rallying behind Willow Corinthos and Michael Corinthos in the hopes that they can both overcome the chaos brought by Drew Quartermaine. Drew's toxic schemes, lying about Michael refusing to see Willow in Germany, ensuring that Wiley Corinthos overheard him saying Michael doesn't want his children now that he has a new baby, and blackmailing Dr. Portia Robinson, have fueled fan outrage with wild speculation about a poisoning plot sealing his fate. As Willow and Michael grow apart, managing the custody agreement for Amelia and Wiley Corinthos is bound to be difficult. This week's previews portray a bleak image in terms of any form of alliance, but might a flashback to their prior love inspire optimism, or will Drew's manipulations ruin their chances? Drew's chaos drives a wedge Willow's heartbreak over losing custody of her children last month, compounded by Drew's lies that she is unaware of, has her clinging to their engagement, while Michael's bond with Sasha Gilmore Corbin and Daisy Corinthos Gilmore strengthens his resolve to protect his children. General Hospital spoilers. Will BLQ's bold move against Rocco turn Dante against her forever? The teasers for July 14th to 18th depict an icy conversation between Willow and Michael. While some of their followers believe this pair of ex-partners may mend, others are outraged and demanding for the truth about Drew to be revealed, even if it cripples Willow and sends her to the brink. If Drew's machinations, such as his relationship with Nina Reeves, come to light, will Willow reconsider her allegiance, or will it increase their divide? GH spoilers suggest a poisoning to end Drew's reign. Drew's antics, blackmailing Portia and pressing Willow's buttons, have sparked speculation that he will die tragically, with fans suspecting a poison drink or sabotage at a public event. Jen Sidwell clashes with Sonny Corinthos, attempting to remove Drew's influence if he no longer requires it. General Hospital spoilers. Will Willow and Michael band together as Drew faces a deadly threat? However, Nina or Portia are more likely to be the culprits, considering their ketamine setup. Will Drew suffer a fatal dose? Or will he escape unscathed? A new chapter in Port Charles? Willow and Michael's potential progress could position them for success, but Drew's potential poisoning could disturb the ground beneath them, jeopardizing Nina's fragile link with Willow and Portia's fight for her profession. Police Commissioner Anna Devane's investigations may reveal the truth, affecting Nina and Willow's mother-daughter relationship, as well as Portia and Trina Robinson's.